Welcome to Unrehearsed, the Village Players of Hatboro's talk show, where we have a chance to meet some of the people behind our upcoming productions. I'm your host for this episode, Kaitlyn. Today, we'll be taking a look at a unique new VPH show, Nick Finland, Big City Detective, a radio play written and performed in the style of 1940s adventure serials. It's a full cast performance shot on video and set to premiere Monday, November 29th. Right here on the VPH YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and get notified so you don't miss it. With us today to tell us more about the production are Steve Niles, the writer and co-director of the show, along with the lead actors Libonate and Ashley Lora-lee.
Hello.
Hello.
Steve, we'll start with you.
Okay.
How did the idea for Nick Finland, Big City Detective come about?
Well, obviously, the past couple of years, 2020, 2021, it's been tough for everybody. But for those of us in community theater, we've been dark for a long time. So we were looking for something we could do to get people together, to be able to perform in a safe way, responsible way, and kind of meet some of the challenges we would have, doing a stage production. So the idea we came up with was to do basically a radio show in the style of the 1940s, have characters in costume, as the actors of the day, but also embodying the characters. So the costumes are kind of a hybrid of, well, I'm an actor playing an actor, or trying to embody some of the actual characters they were playing as well. And the show itself was, Big City Detective was a script I had written maybe 10 years ago. I intended to make into a film. I had this lying around. I thought, well, I can adapt this with a few tweaks to make it function as a radio show. So that meant, adding some descriptive dialogue and other ways to make it work as an audio-only production. Now, in this case, it's an audio and video production. You'll see the actors performing live, acting out some of the scenes, but in the context of a radio program, as if they're in a studio.
And in addition to writing the show, you were also the co-director with Esri Lutz, correct?
That's right.
How did the two of you handle directing a unique show like this, especially given the circumstances?
We wanted to make sure everyone was safe and responsible. The crew was, in masks, and we had, social distancing. We shot it back in April. The vaccines are just rolling out, so those who could perform together in a single scene, we had that. Others were shot individually, and then we brought everything together in editing. That was our number one criteria: is make sure we're safe, make sure the actors are safe, and everybody's having a good time. As far as directing it was a little different than either a stage production or a film, because it's kind of a hybrid of both. We were on stage in a black box essentially, but it did have film elements where you're shooting individual scenes and then cutting them together later. But it also had kind of that stage acting, that one-on-one interaction, because we had long takes and the actors were able to perform together and get that give and take as well. The
production will be premiering online?
I guess it will, on the Village Players of Hatboro YouTube channel, so like and subscribe. And it'll be rolling out on November 29th, the Monday, but then it'll live on the YouTube channel in perpetuity.
Is there any cost involved?
No, it'll be completely free to view. Obviously, we are a nonprofit organization. If you enjoy the show, we encourage you to please donate and help support the theater.
Now, Tom, you play the title character, Detective Nick Finland. How would you describe Detective Finland?
Nick is basically, well, he's, your 1940s kind of gumshoe, private eye, Bogart-esque. He really thinks he's smart, and the operative word in that sentence is thinks, because he's clearly not. He's a do-gooder. He wants to do well. But the thing is, the real brains behind the operation, as I've said, is his trusty sidekick, Melinda Moon, who is savvy, way more intelligent, clever, and beautiful. So it covers all those things. Nick isn't exactly an attractive guy. He thinks he's sexy, but again, there's that think word. He's a wannabe and a lot of things. So he's never going to actually be that gumshoe, but thanks to his trusty secretary, his plucky secretary, he will get there, we think. He's definitely a patriot, too. That's the other thing. America is very important to him.
Ashley, you play Melinda Moon, who is described in the notes and by Tom as Detective Finland's plucky secretary sidekick. Was this a fun character to play?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. I loved it. She's kind of the straight woman to Nick Finland's kind of quirky, dumb character.
Pure idiocy.
Yeah. But she was a lot of fun. I love playing characters like that.
Okay, with a 40s pastiche like this, there's a lot of rapid-fire dialogue. What was the biggest challenge performing a script like this?
The German accent. I'm I was very horrible with it, but also, there was at one point, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but I play two different characters against each other, and I mean you'll have to see it to see it, but it is a very good scene. But it was also very difficult because you're playing two very different characters in two very different ways. So that was pretty difficult, but as I said, exciting.
How about you, Tom? Were there any challenging lines?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it wasn't so much a line as two words, and it's a synonym for Frankfurter. Now, why Steve didn't just write Frankfurter, I don't know, right? I mean, Steve to me is kind of the Stephen Sondheim of straight plays. He's kind of just a sadist. So he gives us that. That was definitely those two words. I don't want to give it away, but in the final credits, you'll see those two words. And then I think we got it on the 48th take or the 49th, something like that.
It took a lot.
It did. Yeah, there was a lot, and it took a lot of patience on the cast and crew, and I just want to thank all of them from the bottom of my heart. So that's something that, and also there's a couple bits where Nick has these really philosophical conversations with a fella named Shovelface Schiavelli, who you wouldn't think being kind of a mob, what do you call him, a capo or whatever, a soldier. You wouldn't think he'd know this, but we have this sophistry and this real philosophical 5-syllable words going back and forth that Steve again wrote for us to, just test our mettle and see, what we could do.
Steve, going back to you. This is billed as a radio play. How did writing this script differ from a typical play or film script?
Well, like I said, the idea is that you could export the audio file, and I intend to do that and make it available in a podcast format. You could listen to the audio version, and it would exist as a radio show that will make complete sense. And so to make that happen, you got to make sure the dialogue that conveys that the characters are describing what they're seeing, and trying to make that work organically and comedically as well.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. We'll be sure to tune in to the world premiere of Nick Finland, Big City Detective on November 29th on the Village Players of Hatboro's YouTube channel. We're all looking forward to it.